off. This is my super duper tool. Focus. It's just a piece of wire, 1mm wire, bent. That's a U-turn, and a couple of little hooks on the end there to get around the bottom of the hub. Works on just about everything. So you spread it open, clamp it down, pull it off. This is what I'm going to do with this sucker here. This is the original 5 blade on here. You just jam it in, make sure you're hiding it on each end, and slowly, slowly pull that sucker off. Bit of a grunt there because I was a bit tense. You don't want to crush that thing when it's coming off, and you don't want to slip left or right when it's coming off, or you will rip those blades off. I've done that. You know, it's going, oh, you're pulling really hard and it gets on an angle, the next minute you're up and over and you're snapping blades. Okay, the sucker's off. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I like to bag up things, or if you have little containers like this for storing your little screws. I used to just leave them on the bench, and it's like your tools. I mean, crikey, if you can't find a tool that you put down there, how are you going to find a little screw that's lying on your bench? Now you've got to be impressed with this. There's 4 long 1.4mm screws in here, and these are a good 6 or 7 or 8mm long. They are really, really long. This thing would never shake loose, no doubt about that. Okay, how many we got undone? There we go, all of them. Alright, just so I don't lose them. I mean, I could leave them in the case, but no thanks. Put them all away. I'm just pressing them out from the back end there. Right, so we've got all the bits in one spot. Right, here comes the scary part. We've got to pop off the end cap to get both end caps off. Now, well, you don't have to get both of them off. You just get one off and smack the bearing out of the other end, put it back on the shaft, drop the shaft in, and it will seat itself. Now, the way that I've found works the best is to heat this up with a heat gun. Sounds horrible, but that's the way we have to do it. So we're going to wave a heat gun. I'm going to talk now because you're not going to hear me with the heat gun going. And you want to warm this spot up here, and that's going to soften the araldite that the factory would have used to seat this thing on. They wouldn't have used CA or anything. Every single time they've used an araldite or an epoxy based adhesive to hold this on. So we're just going to wave it around like this without melting your wires and all that. Just enough to heat that up. And when that's steadily warm, you can let that go and let the heat penetrate into the glue to soften it up, because remember, it is inside. Now once that's really nice and warm, here comes the scary part. Now I'm going to be wearing gloves when I'm going to do this because this will get hot. Is that it's nice and hot, about 126 degrees I think is when it starts melting, but you don't want it too hot, otherwise you will ruin your magnet inside here. But once you've warmed this up without causing any sort of heat problems, you give it a sharp smack like that, fair and square, vertically onto the shaft, and it pops the back end out. Believe it or not, if it doesn't work after, you know, bang bang, no, I've got my thumb in the way here, my finger, sorry, bang bang, if it doesn't come out, heat it up a little bit more. The heat may not have penetrated through the aluminium, because don't forget this is a great heat sink, to soften up the araldite enough. I have done that a couple of times, and then you give it a sharp rap and bang, it just pops clean off. So that's what we're going to do now. Right, here, I'm going to bang it like that once it's nice and hot. Now my glove will probably be in the way because of the angle, but once she's hot, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bang it. The reason I need the corner of the table is because my arm is like this, hanging over, so I can get a sharp hit instead of trying to keep my wrist out of the way and my palm. So everything will hang over the end of the table. You've got to keep it moving. Remember, you've got heat strings and wire here that you don't want to ruin. Gonna let the heat penetrate, then I'm going to hit it again. I'm using a just a industrial paint stripper, basically what this thing is. Hot air gun. I like to call them paint strippers over here. Okay, another heat up. And I'm just going to wallop this thing. Job done. Gave it a whack and popped it straight off. There you go. That's not that hard, is it? Okay, now let's strip the rest of the stuff down. Woohoo, still a bit warm. Alright. Well, that's interesting. Well, first of all, you can see that the front bearing came out with the whole thing. This is going to be interesting. Now, let's find the noisy bearing. It's really easy to do. You stick your bearing on the end there. They're dropping it. Alright, and you spin it. Shh. No noise. Okay. That's a good one. Here's the rear one. Put it in. Shh. Now I see this is a microphone, can pick it up. Shh. Now, I'm not too sure if the microphone can pick that up. The microphone picked it up just on top of the video camera, but I can feel it. It's really rough. So I've lost the rear bearing. So I was absolutely... I'm trying to do it fast so it picks it up. So it's rough. You can feel it. It feels like there's square balls in there instead of round ones, as opposed to this one, which I'll put up real close to the camera. Pop it on. Shh. Smooth as anything. Alright. Well, I was right. The bearing had gone. Let's measure that sucker up there. Okay, so it's a 1.5 internal. Looks like about a 4 external by about a 2 mil depth. Okay, so it's a 4 mil, got that right. 2 mil, you see that. So it just so happens that I have plenty of these spare that are rated to about 100k. So I'm going to pop this back one out. Now popping it out is just the same as anything else. Let me see how much depth I've got to play with. Oh. Yes, I can. Alright, and can I do that? Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the shaft to pop out the back one. And that just loosens it up, and then you can just pop the rest of it out using a... Looking for my little screwdriver. There we go. So, a bit of a wrap to get the thing out of the... because it would have been press fit into the rear end cap, which it was. So you just pop it to break the grip, and then like I did, just grab a small screwdriver and just pop it out to get it out. You can go straight to step 2 if you like. Just give it a bit of a force job and get it out. Alright, so let me dig out a spare bearing and put it all back together again. Alright, dig out my new bearing. So here's the old one, push to the back there, move down the bench. Double check I didn't go cross-side. Oh, that still sucks. Alright, so let's put the bearings all back together again. Snap it on the rear and use the shaft to shove it back in. Job done! Now, put the front bearing back on, which was okay. Hold on to it because the magnet will snap into the shaft. like that. Now you want to move it around to get the bearing to sit. There we go. It's now sitting in the front end cap. Line up your rear end cap. I have to keep grabbing the hibbity doobities. Okay, so you just wibble the front shaft so that the rear shaft lines up with the rear end cap. And I've got that lined up, so I push that down just a little bit, and now I'm going to put just a tiny bead of CA, because you don't want it popping out from any vibration or heat or anything else that might just, you know, happen to upset the apple cart. Oh, one drop. It's like plutonium. Okay, that's too much. So here I am reaching for the tissue. Okay, absorb a little bit of that. Like I said, I only want a little tiny bit. Oh, and then press it on. Job done. Find something flat just to confirm that. That's really interesting, because guess what? If you remember when I pulled this thing apart, that was sticking out further than that. That was already half out. Well, that's very interesting. This thing was falling to bits even before I got to it. Isn't that interesting? And that explains that popping noise I was hearing when I was balancing it last time. Alright, give me some power, let's go. Let's have a listen to how it sounds now, because it was sounding quite rough when I was balancing it in that balancing video. See, it's much more quieter. Let's just stick the old Rising Hobby fan on there. Fairly balanced. Well, I should do, because I've balanced it. Yeah. See, now there's nothing but air, and the noise of the ESC switching the motor over. Alright, job done. Crappy bearing. Pick it up and do this. Don't hang on to it, it's no good. Listen. That's the bin. That's where she belongs. Power off. Disconnect, bearing pullers, pull it off square. One bearing replacement completed.